Regal, powerful, monumentally rich. The House of Saud is not just Saudi Arabia's ruling family. It's one of the richest dynasties in modern history, with wealth measured in the hundreds of billions. But how does a royal family maintain control in a rapidly changing world? Let's watch inside the richest family of Saudi Arabia, the Al Saud family. But before we continue, please like this video and subscribe for more videos like this. Who are the Al Saud family, and how did their story begin? Would you believe that the world's richest family once ruled over desert sands with no oil, no gold, and no palaces? Before there were billion-dollar oil reserves and futuristic cities, the House of Saud began as a modest tribal leadership in the 18th century. In 1744, Mohammed bin Saud formed an alliance with the religious reformer Mohammed ibn Abd al-Wahhab. This union of political power and religious ideology gave rise to the first Saudi state, a bold step that would set the foundation for generations to come. But it wasn't until 1932, when King Abdulaziz ibn Saud unified the scattered tribal regions of the Arabian Peninsula, that the modern Kingdom of Saudi Arabia was officially born. The Al Saud family, once desert warriors, were now monarchs of a nation that would soon sit on top of one of the greatest fortunes in human history. How did oil turn the desert into a kingdom of gold? Can a single discovery change the fate of an entire nation and make one family richer than entire countries? Yes, it can. In 1938, vast reserves of oil were discovered in Bahrain, eastern Saudi Arabia. What followed was a gold rush unlike any other. Only instead of gold, it was black gold, petroleum. The formation of Saudi Aramco, now the world's most valuable company, transformed Saudi Arabia from an underdeveloped desert into one of the most powerful nations on earth. The Al Saud family, as the ruling monarchy, found themselves at the heart of this transformation. They didn't just benefit from the wealth, they owned it. With oil revenues flooding into the kingdom, they expanded their influence globally. Lavish palaces were built, foreign investments soared, and Saudi Arabia became a force on the world stage. Today, estimates of the Al Saud family's collective wealth range from $500 billion to over $1.4 trillion, largely thanks to oil, state-owned assets, and investments that stretch from New York skyscrapers to Japanese tech firms. What does life look like when you have trillions? How do you live when money is never a limit, but a legacy? To understand the sheer scale of the Al Saud family's wealth, imagine this. Private Boeing 747s with gold-plated interiors, palaces that span millions of square feet, and yachts so luxurious they make headlines around the world. Their lives are wrapped in layers of exclusivity and grandeur that most can only dream of. Their primary residence, Al Yamama Palace in Riyadh, is not just a home. It's a city within a city. It has its own cinema, mosque, banquet halls, and staff that number in the hundreds. Members of the royal family also travel in style, aboard mega-yachts like the Serene, which boasts helipads, swimming pools, and even a snow room. And when it comes to art and luxury goods, they spare no expense. A Da Vinci painting reportedly bought by the Crown Prince fetched $450 million. Expensive jewelry, rare antiques, and the finest cars line the halls of royal collections. This isn't just wealth, it's a legacy of opulence. Who really holds the power in this massive royal family? With over 15,000 members, how does one family maintain control over an entire nation? While the Al Saud family is large, only around 2,000 royals hold actual influence. At the top of the pyramid is King Salman bin Abdulaziz, who assumed the throne in 2015. But behind the scenes, much of the real power belongs to his son, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, MBS. MBS is a name the world has come to know well. At just 39 years old, he is the de facto ruler of Saudi Arabia. Bold, ambitious, and controversial, he's spearheading Vision 2030, an economic and social reform plan meant to modernize the kingdom. Under his leadership, Saudi Arabia has begun opening cinemas, allowing women to drive, and expanding its investment reach worldwide. But this transformation has come at a cost. MBS has been criticized for cracking down on dissent, imprisoning journalists, and orchestrating a 2017 anti-corruption purge that detained hundreds of powerful businessmen and even royals. These actions, while strengthening his grip on power, have drawn global scrutiny. What is Vision 2030, and why is it so controversial? Can a nation built on tradition reinvent itself without losing its soul? Vision 2030 is MBS's bold roadmap to diversify Saudi Arabia's economy beyond oil. It includes massive infrastructure projects, cultural reforms, and foreign investments. At the heart of it lies Neom, a futuristic $500 billion megacity being built in the desert. It promises flying taxis, AI-powered systems, and a linear structure called a line that stretches over 100 miles with no roads or cars. But for all its innovation, the vision is shadowed by criticism. Reports have surfaced of forced evictions of native tribes from their ancestral lands to make room for Neom. Some members of the Hawaiitat tribe have been arrested, beaten, or even sentenced to death for resisting relocation. International organizations have raised human rights concerns about the labor conditions and treatment of migrant workers, many of whom work under dangerous and exploitative conditions. While the dream of transforming the desert into a utopia is alluring, the human cost has raised serious ethical questions. What role does religion and culture play in their power? Can power survive without spiritual roots in a deeply religious society? The Al Saud family's legitimacy isn't just tied to oil and money. It is deeply rooted in religion. As custodians of the two holy mosques, King Salman and the royal family hold one of the most revered titles in the Islamic world. Mecca and Medina, the holiest sites in Islam, fall within Saudi borders, giving the Al Sauds tremendous influence over the global Muslim population. This sacred responsibility has long cemented their political and spiritual authority, but it also places them under a microscope, especially as they attempt to modernize the kingdom. Introducing liberal reforms in a country where conservatism runs deep is a delicate balancing act. Too much change can provoke backlash from religious scholars. Too little can stagnate progress. Still, the Al Saud family continues to walk this tightrope, using religion as both shield and sword in maintaining power. Can the world's richest family survive the weight of modern expectations? Is it possible to carry centuries of tradition into a future shaped by artificial intelligence, climate change, and human rights? Saudi Arabia is changing fast. Young Saudis are more connected, more educated, and more aware than ever before. They seek freedom, opportunity, and a voice. The royal family, especially MBS, is racing to meet these demands while preserving control. But the challenges are mounting. Oil prices are volatile. Global investors are cautious, and international pressure over issues like the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi, women's rights, and freedom of speech continues to cast a shadow over the kingdom's ambitions. If Vision 2030 succeeds, it could redefine Saudi Arabia's future and solidify MBS' legacy as a reformer. But if it falters, the world's richest family could face more than economic setbacks. They could face the unraveling of a dynasty that took centuries to build. Is the price of power worth the fortune? When you live in gold-plated palaces and fly in private jets, the world may seem within your grasp. But as the Al Saud family knows all too well, wealth does not come without responsibility, and power is never guaranteed forever. The world watches their every move, awed by their riches, fascinated by their traditions, and wary of their influence. They are at a crossroads, where the old ways of the desert meet the digital age of progress. Can the Al Saud dynasty balance faith in future, control, and compassion? Only time will tell. Does the Al Saud legacy represent strategic leadership or concentrated power? Join the conversation in the comments and hit subscribe for more videos from the world's elite families.